Hi there, this is Datila, and welcome to the WrestleManiacs Royal Rumble review. I am joined by Josh.
Hey, everybody.
Yes, so we have quite a few things to discuss here. There was only 4 matches, and I don't know about you, but I personally felt this pay-per-view was all over the place.
Very much so. I kind of thought it going into it would be less is more. And I mean, 4 matches worked. I mean, again, I think they definitely try to stretch in some places. But yeah, I guess that would probably be the best way to describe it. Very much so everywhere. There was a consistent message, but it was a little messy. That's the best way I can say it.
Let's kick things talking about the men's Royal Rumble because we got to talk about the winner.
Yes.
But before we get into the winner, let's talk about some of the points. So Jey Uso coming out there at number 1. I kind of figured that if he was number 1, Jimmy was going to be number 2. I think that this was used to set up the brother versus brother at WrestleMania. I really did like the fact that Jay's face was kind of like, what? As he
Hmm.
realized that Jimmy was number 2. Now, what I dislike is that, okay, great, they were 1 and 2, but Jimmy didn't eliminate Jay. Jay didn't eliminate Jimmy.
Yes.
And there was no more story being told besides them starting this off.
Yeah, really to me, even weirder was, the next person coming out was Grayson Waller, and he was talking about, let's have the Grayson Waller effect, and it was very much so not what I expected. I expected this sort of standoff, and maybe I really don't know what I expected, but it kind of made me think of like, okay, let's say if they had Undertaker and Kane back in the day start, it would have been, they would have stared off, eliminated who came in next. It would have been, at least 2 or 3 eliminations that way to set up the tension between them two. But yeah, you're right. I mean, really, there was no reason for them to fight at this point beyond that Jay just happened to be in the Royal Rumble together. So it was very over the place, as you said earlier. That was kind of the best way to put it.
Number 4 was Andrade. I was so happy to see him back. I'm not too surprised that he was here. As we all know, he finished up with AEW at World's End. So I guess it was to no one's surprise that he was going to be in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, it was a nice return. Again, I still think WWE is going to have their hands, or at least have their hands full, kind of explaining to the audience, okay, who is this guy? What's he about? Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? And I really love the interaction that he had with Santos. That was probably one of the better, I think, interactions. They did the whole, oh, the best cruiserweights, but I really loved that they kind of acknowledged that sort of setup. So, I mean, definitely, I loved Andrade's return. I thought that was a great way to do it.
I definitely did like that moment with Santos Escobar, like you alluded to. He gave Andrade a hug and stuff, which I thought
Mhm.
was really cool. I definitely do think that Andrade is going to get put on SmackDown and get inserted into the LWO storyline.
Oh, for sure. He'll probably be the foil for Carlito, I would think, since he probably, I mean, I hate to say he'd be the muscle, but I hate to say he's so much bigger, seemingly, than, all 3 of the other LWO guys and also the Legado del Fantasma individuals. So,
Legado de Fantasma.
yeah, you can say it better than I can. I just say it the most basic way. But yeah, I definitely
It's
think it
okay.
was a good way to bring him and introduce him back.
Yeah. Number 15, Cody Rhodes.
Yes,
That's not the number that I thought he was going to come out at.
no. I as we talked about off air, I kind of expected the number 3 spot, the Flair spot, to kind of, be the Iron Man of the Royal Rumble. And I mean, technically he was, but I thought honestly, going back to the Jay and Jimmy Uso, I thought Rhodes being in there would have made more sense, especially because of the whole Jimmy Jay bloodline story. So yeah, it was an odd choice. I would say that for number 15. But of course he's, a house of fire at that point. So made sense, but again, it was kind of odd that he wasn't like number 3 or 4 or a number.
It's funny though, and we'll get into this. We'll get way into this at the end when we talk about the predictions. But that was Adam's number and
I
pick to win.
I know. I mean, sometimes I wonder if he has an in or something like that. Because I mean, again, to guess the number out of 30 people and be correct, unreal.
I know.
Unreal.
We'll talk more about that when we get into predictions.
For sure.
So interesting fact: number 20, Braun Breaker. He took Brock Lesnar's spot in the Royal Rumble. Without getting into details, all that stuff that came out.
Yeah.
Lesnar was originally supposed to be in the Rumble, but he no longer was. So Braun Breaker took his spot. But here's the weird part. Braun Breaker was the one who eliminated Jimmy Uso and Finn Balor. Braun Breaker ended up getting eliminated by Dominic. So if that's the case, it seems like Lesnar was supposed to work with Dominic, but I wasn't a fan of Braun Breaker eliminating Jimmy. I feel like that belonged to Jay.
Yeah, I remember watching him eliminate people. I thought, wow, because he kept eliminating people I didn't expect, especially being a young NXT superstar. I maybe thought he would get, I don't know. I mean, I did not expect the Judgment Day thing. I really did not expect. I mean, yeah, I did read that online that Brock Lesnar was originally supposed to work with Dom in Elimination Chamber, but now it's going to be Breaker. It's because his character in NXT is a heel right now. So for him to come into the main roster as a babyface, almost like Carmelo Hayes, is a strange thing.
Yeah.
He had a good showing, though. I mean, he definitely had the speed and he looked roster ready. But again, it was very strange that he had interaction with Judgment Day, which I don't know why. It just kind of threw me for a loop. I expected a little bit more interaction with somebody else. I don't know who, but just different.
So number 22 was Pat McAfee. I was not a huge fan of this. Nothing against Pat McAfee himself. I just don't like the fact that he entered and eliminated himself. That was a waste of a spot and a number. You could have given that to someone like Chad Gable or Otis. You know, Alpha Academy was not even a part of this Rumble, so I was not a huge fan of this.
You're right. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. Yeah, it would have made total sense, especially with the momentum that Gable had, Otis had, especially with the bigger guys. So yeah, you're right. Pat McAfee getting in and getting out. I just honestly kind of didn't fit his character. I mean, yeah, the whole idea is to make Omos seem huge and over, but I don't know. I kind of expected it to be, if they wanted to do that, they could have been it to where he's like, you know what, I'm just going to sit out. I'm going to sit at the commentary table. I'll get in at a later spot. Kind of like the Jerry the King Lawler hiding from I think it was 93 Rumble. Same thing. So yeah, it was a very random, I don't know. It was a waste of space, as you said.
You know what I would have preferred? I would have preferred you put, since I'm assuming Lesnar versus Gunter is off the table, had Chad Gable in that number. And then
Yes.
you know how Chad Gable beat Gunter by count out? You should have Chad Gable eliminate Gunter.
That'd have been perfect.
That
I
would have been,
definitely would buy that story again.
yeah, same. I definitely wouldn't have mind that. And I think that would have set up for another match between them. So I wouldn't have mind that.
For sure.
We got to talk about number 24, R-Truth. I mean, he is so hilarious. I mean, we'll talk about what he did in the earlier in the show, but for right now, and during this, he thought he was in a tag match. I mean, he was reaching for Dominic to tag him in, and I was just like, really? Like,
The man is a
okay.
national treasure. He can get away with
Yeah,
anything.
he was
I mean,
hilarious.
would I have bet on my bingo card having a hot tag with Dominic, of course, in the Royal Rumble? I mean, no. But that man literally can get anything over. I swear.
Yeah.
I mean, I one day hope when he can't wrestle anymore that or even if he can wrestle, that's fine. Make him a general manager. I just want to see what kind of antics he would pull together. The strange, he could probably be funnier than Mick Foley was as commissioner. He would be a perfect foil for the heels for sure, even if accidentally.
We'll see. But R-Truth is funny.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna talk about number 26, Damian Priest. It made no sense that he was in here again. Like, Damian Priest is Senor Money in the Bank. He didn't need to be in this. He could have given his spot to Chad Gable, Otis, or anybody else that was left out of the Royal Rumble. I felt like there was no reason for him to be in here.
You know, the one thing I think that they missed a big opportunity on is, throughout really not until the end, they didn't show Seth Rollins. Like, they didn't really mention him. Same with Roman Reigns. Granted, again, he was in a match, yes, but to me, during the Rumble, I think it was a missed opportunity, especially with Damian Priest, Cody Rhodes, all the big names. To me, I would have had like either a picture of, let's say, I don't know, Cody Rhodes coming out, and you could have Roman Reigns, like, just something. And I think Damian Priest would have been a perfect spot for them to show that camera angle, right? But also, they did make a point to say, well, maybe he wants a backup plan in case the Money in the Bank doesn't work. So at least they tried to cover the idea that, he was there. So I agree, though. I mean, definitely somebody else should have been in his spot because it made no sense.
Number 27, which was the number I picked, CM Punk. I was a little surprised that he came out at number 27 because I thought that, maybe he'd be number 30. So when he was number 27, I kind of started thinking to myself, like, oh crap, who's number 30 then? It must be
Mhm.
a really big surprise. And lo and behold, it was Sami Zayn. And I kind of was like, okay, maybe I thought it was gonna be Biggie. Part of me, there was a little tiny part of me that's like, is it The Rock? Are they really gonna have The
Right.
Rock in the Rumble? I was like, the biggest surprise they can pull is Biggie, but it ended up being Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn had been away. I think he's been away since what, December? I think.
It's been a minute. It's funny. It's funny you say that because I remember my wife at the beginning of the Rumble. She's like, "Where's and again, folks, she's still pretty brand new to the wrestling thing. She's like, "Where's the long haired red guy?" I'm like, "Long haired redhead guy? You mean Sheamus?" Sami Zayn. I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." So it's funny. We literally just talked about the Rumble. Like, where's Sami Zayn at? Where's he been? And so again, it was funny he made an appearance, but poor Sami Zayn. I mean, I know everybody was waiting for some big debut or something. They were waiting for The Rock. Let's just say it. Everybody was waiting for The Rock to show up. And when Sami Zayn came out, you'd be like, oh, yay. It reminds me of Rey Mysterio coming out at the Rumble. It's kind of like, what are you going to do? Poor Sami Zayn was in a no-win spot at that point.
Yeah, definitely. So the final four ended up being Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Gunther, and Drew McIntyre. I really like the fact that, Gunther went after Cody and Drew McIntyre went after CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
Punk eliminated Drew McIntyre, Cody eliminated Gunther, which is fitting because that's 2 years in a row. Cody eliminates Gunther. So the fight ended up being CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. I think that was expected. I think we all kind of saw that coming.
Yeah.
I really like the fact that CM Punk kind of acted a little heelish, and he was
Mm-hmm.
pointing to the WrestleMania sign, which I feel like sealed his fate. And he said he wasn't going to lose to Dusty's Kid, and he hit the pedigree.
As soon as that line came out of his mouth, I thought, well, he's not winning. That was it. I didn't wait 10 years, and I thought, he just gave it away. I mean, I get the idea, but we're in Florida. We're in Dusty territory. I mean, it makes sense overall. It really does. But I still just feel that. I mean, again, look, like I told you off air again, when I saw CM Punk in the advert for Elimination Chamber, I thought, and I didn't see Cody Rhodes in there, I thought, yeah, we're going to get Punk in the chamber. So, I mean, it worked. I'll be honest with you, though, I did not. To me, it seemed a little plotting. I hate to say that, but the whole Punk and Rhodes exchange kind of seemed they were like a half a step off. Seemed like it wasn't this intense fight like I expected. Really, I don't know why that is, but it was just me.
So Cody Rhodes ends up winning this 2 years in a row. He's the first person since Stone Cold Steve Austin to win the Rumble back to back. So congrats to him. But in my personal opinion, I feel like desperate Cody Rhodes would have been much better. I wanted to see that. Like, I wanted Cody Rhodes to lose the Rumble and have him basically do the Shawn Michaels route.
Yes.
Plead to get sent over to SmackDown and enter the Elimination Chamber because it's his final chance to go to WrestleMania and finish his story. I wanted that.
Yeah.
But you know what? I have no problem with Cody Rhodes winning. Like you said, CM Punk was advertised for the Elimination Chamber. I think that pretty much gave it away.
Mm-hmm.
But so I guess CM Punk is entering the Elimination Chamber and going to WrestleMania that way.
The thing is how do they get there? I mean, again, the idea is, yes, I know that, Cody's going to go to SmackDown, and that was, I thought, the strange thing too is, everybody knew he was going to go for Roman, but usually they have the whole, who's Cody going to face? He's got history with Roman, he's got history with Seth, and pretty much like, nope, he's going to pick, Reigns right there. So I thought that was an interesting way to put it. Usually there's a whole hype of who's he going to pick? We don't know, but they pretty much gave it away right there. So I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah. And we'll get into our over thoughts and opinions on each Rumble after we finish discussing the whole show.
For sure.
So the Royal Rumble kicked off with the Women's Royal Rumble. Number 1 was Natty. Number 2 was the returning Naomi. I mean, so they kicked off with a bang,
Loved it. I mean, she's a Florida native. It made sense. And I mean, everybody just lost it. It's funny. I dare say everybody expected it, but her pop was massive. I was like, wow, they really Miss Naomi. And I loved it because, again, that kind of started, it really started the night off right. It was like, oh my gosh, who else is going to show up? And then later on, another pick's going to show up, with which nobody, I think, saw coming.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Just give me a few minutes.
Oh, for sure.
So I really like the fact that commentary mentioned Trinity's knockouts title reign. Love that. Love that they mentioned that. Before we get more into that, though, number 3 was Bailey, and kind of like how you mentioned, she was a Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
She was a Ric Flair in this Rumble.
Once she came out at number 3, I thought, oh, that's the Flair spot. Okay. Well, same with, I mean, it almost tricked me with Punk coming out at number 27 because I have to look it up again, but someone came out at 27. I think it was like for years the number 27 spot was the advantage spot. So
Yeah, it
her to
was.
come out, okay, that was it. Okay, that's what I thought.
That's
So
why I picked it. That's why I
yeah,
picked 27 during predictions.
yeah, I mean, with Bailey coming out at number 3, I thought was perfect. I mean, again, that to me, I think it sealed her fate at that point. Her coming out at 3, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. There's an homage to Flair. There's an homage to her somehow winning, because when she kept getting almost eliminated throughout the Rumble, I mean, it was a dead giveaway.
Coming in at number 5, the TNA Knockouts champion, the Juggernaut, Jordynne Grace.
What a visual. I mean, I have admittedly not watched Impact or now TNA that much. I knew the name Jordynne Grace, never saw her in person. And holy heck, I mean, I dare say akin to the shock of seeing now he who shall not be named, Mr. McMahon or whatever, and his physique. Holy heck. What an entrance. Just her standing there, just all, jacked. Wow. And to hold the title up to the camera, that was another big thing, I think, too. Not just to run in there like Mickie James did a couple years ago, but her to actually hold it up and say, I'm champion. Wow. The forbidden door has pretty much been kicked open to TNA, which I love that. And they referenced the feud.
I have to say, I was really happy. It brought a tear in my eye to have 40,000 people chanting TNA, TNA. It helped that they were in Florida because, as we all know,
Right.
Florida used to be the home base for TNA. I love the fact that they acknowledged their feud. Although they didn't mention that Jordynne Grace actually beat Trinity twice. She took the Knockouts title off of her and then successfully retained this past week.
Right.
And Jordynne Grace, I know I'm jumping a little ahead here, but Jordynne Grace had a fantastic showing in the Royal Rumble. She squared off against Ivy Niles. They both showed off their strength by suplexing Candice LeRae and Katana Chance.
Yep.
I will say the one thing that did kind of bug me was Bianca Belair eliminating Jordynne Grace with the KOD on the ring apron, because to me, if you're not going to follow up on that, like if nothing's going to come out of that, why do that? You should have had Naomi, be the one to eliminate Jordynne Grace. Kind of how like Lita was the one that eliminated Mickie James.
Yes.
Because they have history. So, Jordynne Grace beat Trinity twice. Trinity eliminates her from the Royal Rumble. At least that's what I would have preferred. But hey, I didn't mind Bianca so much eliminating her. I was just, to me, in my head, I was like, this is not going to make sense unless you follow up,
I mean, I think it was Jordynne Grace herself who said, this is not the last time you're going to see This Is TNA. And I wonder, I mean, look, I don't see a clear path for Bianca necessarily for WrestleMania. I mean, could we get the first interpromotional match? Because, I mean, look, I would have anticipated Jordynne Grace to maybe be in there, I don't know, 5 minutes. I really did not expect her to stay there as long. I was hoping she would, of course, right? But I mean, usually with history, it's like, oh, look, they're there, and oh, there comes the spoiler, and she's in there for 5 minutes. But yeah, to have them eliminate each other or have Bianca eliminate her, I hope there is kind of a story there. I mean, again, I would love if there's an interpromotional match. Why not? I mean, the door's already been kicked open. I mean, the fact that, again, WWE allowed her to show up, they're letting the TNA chants go along and mentioning it. There's smoke to that. I think there's smoke, there's fire, because again, WWE doesn't usually just do things on a whim like that. They usually don't. That was a way of them testing the audience, and for them to chant TNA with somebody like that, I don't know. There's got to be something to it. There has to be.
If it leads to AJ Styles showing up to TNA either for Rebellion or Slammiversary, I'm all for it.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, that could be a talent trade. But the fact that Triple H said we actively reached out to TNA and thanked them after the press conference for letting us bring her in. I mean, they have a deep roster, so it's not like they couldn't have found somebody else to slot in that spot, right? Especially in NXT. So I don't know. It's interesting they reached out because again, there's something there. There has to be.
I don't want to get my hopes too high up, but we just gotta wait and see.
Yeah, right.
So I want to talk about Kari Zane. Did she botch her elimination? Was she supposed to get eliminated? It looked like she botched because she was holding on. So I don't know if that was done on on purpose, if that, or maybe she just botched. I don't know. I think she did.
I would say so because I mean, impressive enough to make me go, "Holy heck!" I would have never expected her to do that. But yeah, I mean, I think that with a mixture of having had she been on the other side without the video wall, I think she would have been able to get back in, but I think that video wall just, made her slip. And I think it was weird that they eliminated Asuka pretty much right after. It's almost like they're like, "Okay, well, eliminate Asuka too at the same time." So yeah, I think
I
something happened there.
I think Asuka was supposed to get eliminated and Kari Zane kind of botched. I think that maybe Kari Zane was not supposed to get eliminated that way,
Mhm. Right.
but it just botched.
I agree. No, I mean, I think that's why I thought it was weird that right after Asuka was eliminated, I guess they're like, well, I guess they'll tell the story that both of them are gone. So yeah, you could tell there was a little awkward, like, shoot, we couldn't catch it because you can see Asuka try to grab her and pull her back
Yeah.
in, and it was too late. But I
Yeah,
love
yeah. That's
Kyrie. I loved Kyrie saying selling of just falling flat on her face and just being like, messed it up. So she saved it.
So I really like. Let's talk about Chelsea Green here. Like she was hilarious. She came in at number 14. She just knocked it out of the park. I mean, I like the fact that when she almost got eliminated the first time, Piper
Mhm.
Niven just catched her, and she acted like she was gonna drop her, but she just looked her on the steel steps. I really like it. Chelsea Green, she's hilarious. She's killing it. I'm really happy for her.
She To me, she has revitalized Piper Niven's role. When they came out as the Heart Foundation, like around Halloween, I was sold at that point. I'm like, you know what? There's nothing better, nothing else they could do that could make me, love the duo more. So they are a highlight, I think, for Monday night because I want to see what kind of comedy they can do.
Yeah, definitely. And poor Chelsea Green kept getting squashed by Nia Jackson, Piper Nivens, but she sold out like a pro.
I mean, there's a reason why she's employed. Again, I didn't understand her role, but now totally get it. She definitely plays the Karen real well, and she definitely plays the foil well, or I guess the heel that gets the comeuppance very well, always.
Now, I didn't catch what Selena Vega cosplayed as. Did you?
If I had to guess, and I only have to guess, it looked like something like Overwatch, like some shooter, you fight each other type of battle royal thing, but I'm not sure. But she always has random cosplays that, I was surprised. It's usually the announcers will say like, "Oh, she's cosplaying as, blah 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 blah." So I'm gonna assume it's Overwatch because it looked like something like that. But again, I don't play it. I just know of it, right? So
I think it was. I think they said it. I think it was Gundam. Something Gundam. I'm not entirely sure.
okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. It's basically like a robot thing. I mean, again, she always has these different cosplays she does on the side anyway. So it's neat that at least let her do it. I guess why not?
So at number 19 was Nia Jax, and like when she started throwing people out and all the women tried to eliminate her but failed, I knew that could only mean one thing. But
Yep.
before we get into that thing, let's talk about number 24, Poor Valhalla and Our Truth. Okay, I like Our Truth. I think he's funny, but I kind of wasn't a huge fan of this. You get me?
Yeah. Yeah,
I feel
it overshadowed everything.
yeah, I feel like what they should have done was they should have played number 24, and then Our Truth went out there. He entered the Rumble,
Mhm.
and then he still gets tossed up by Nia Jax. But behind Truth, as Truth is coming out, you see Valhalla, who's actually really number 24, and she's just kind of like, what?
Yeah.
I would have preferred if they'd done it that way. Just the way they did it, I feel like I was not a huge fan of. I mean, I know it's Valhalla, but it's like still like You know, I just wasn't
If
a huge fan of that.
if they were gonna do a story like that, and again, I mean, it would have. Let's just say the whole Judgment Day thing, right? Fantasy booking would have been Rhea decides, you know what, I want both titles. I'm gonna enter the Royal Rumble. I'm gonna, and look, she could have beat up Valhalla or whoever, somebody Chelsea Green, whatever took the spot, comes out there. Then R-Truth comes out there trying to support her, says, I'm number 24 and cost her elimination. Then you have the continuation of the Judgment Day and R-Truth costing them stuff. But no, I agree. It really wasn't, it didn't fit because now, in theory, now technically Ivar should have a problem with R-Truth come Monday Night Raw because he
Yeah.
cost Valhalla the thing. If they don't follow up with it, kind of was a waste of, Valhalla spot. She still could have got in there and stayed for a little while versus that 2-second elimination.
I will say this: it made sense that Nia Jax is the one who tossed him out because if you remember, Nia Jax took his spot in the Men's Warrior Rumble, and then so it
You're
makes
right.
sense that she was the one that tossed him out.
Right. No, I love that continuity. I mean, I did love that they had that interaction together. But again, I mean, they had the whole hot tag thing later on in the men's rumble. So really Truth showing out there was kind of funny, but in a way it really wasn't needed at that point, especially because they were going to have the hot tag thing on the men's rumble.
Yeah, definitely. So back to Nia Jax. So, like I said, when she was eliminating people, if the women failed to eliminate her, I knew that could only mean one thing. Number 28, Jade Cargill. She came out and she picked up Nia Jax. Not only did she pick up Nia Jax, she eliminated Nia Jax, and Becky's face was hilarious.
Yeah. That definitely was a star making moment. She didn't have to do too much. But it's like I told my wife too. I said, look, all she's got to do is stand there. She could have just stood there and just, again, eliminated Nia Jax and picking her up. When you notice every other woman, and I don't really know if there's any woman on the roster that I can recall ever picked up Nia Jax that way. As far as I know, unless I'm wrong, they always can. It seems like you can always tell they have problems picking her up. So I was shocked that she picked her up in that fashion and slammed her and, eliminated her. It was a perfect story.
I would say Jade Cargill had a star-making performance in the Rumble. She looked like a star out there.
The face off with Bianca
Belair.
and the crowd's reaction to that, I thought, wow, that's something
That's
I didn't even anticipate in my mind. I was like, wow, I didn't even think about that matchup potential.
I did. I've been thinking
Did
about
you?
that matchup since Jade
Have
Cargill
you?
went to WWE. That's a WrestleMania match right there.
For sure.
So we had NXT call-ups 27 Roxanne Perez and 29 Tiffany Stratton. I think Roxanne Perez, she's a prodigy for a reason. She was really good.
I've got to say though, I think my girl T Stratton took over. I think she took over, just jumping on there and just jumping on all of them. I mean, again, for a heel to do that was strange. I kind of expected that to be more of a Perez move, but I mean, Roxanne is good. Don't get me wrong, but I think T Stratton's a dark horse. I think she has proven herself a lot more capable than I ever would have expected, especially her gimmick. I thought, it's going to be kind of a wash away. We're going to get a little bit of it, but the girl's cooking now. So, I mean, again, it was natural, but boy, what a star making performance for her, too.
I really liked when Tiffany eliminated Roxanne Perez. She was like, toodles, and such
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
My guilty pleasure on NXT, I must admit.
Number 30 was Liv Morgan making her long-awaited return, rocking that Christina Aguilera attire.
I liked it. I mean, again, it was. I love watching with my wife, especially because again, there's no context beyond just her watching WrestleMania 22 for the first time, or not 22, 2022, I should say, and for her to go, "What? She's back?" Oh man, I thought that was so cool because it's very rare you get that sort of reaction. I guess as we watch after a while, you're excited to see somebody, but for her reaction of, "Wait, what? She's back?" I'm like, that to me, that's so cool to see from my standpoint, right? And so for seeing Liv Morgan come back, yeah, I thought that was great. Although I expected a little bit more shine. I think the sequence of events near the end I thought made sense.
Yeah. All right. So the final three were Bayley, Liv Morgan, and Jade Cargill here. So, Bayley and Liv Morgan double team Jade on the ring apron. Liv eliminated Jade Cargill, and Bayley eliminated Liv, and Bayley won the women's Royal Rumble. And honestly, I have no problem with it. I feel like that was the best choice with the story that they're telling with Judgment Day. She's definitely going to get the Edge treatment sooner or later.
Yep.
And this is going to lead to that babyface Bayley again. You know, that we haven't seen since like what, 2019, I think?
Yeah, probably since the pandemic. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because I mean wasn't that long. Gosh, it's been that long. I didn't even realize that till now.
Yeah.
It's been 4 or 5 years since we've seen her as a face.
Yeah, she's been working her ass off as a heel. She did everything she could to get Damage Control over. She was losing matches. She put Bianca Belair over. She deserves it. I was happy for her.
I gotta say, I gotta give credit to the sequence of events and how they did it. For Liv Morgan to give the Oblivion to Jade outside of the ring apron, and then for her to get eliminated by Bayley just by hook or crook. It wasn't like Bayley definitively eliminated her. It was one of those like last moment Flair, tosses her over thing. So yeah, Bayley deserves it. And again, I'm happy because again, that adds to the accolade that she's so richly deserved for quite a while.
And I wonder if there's a story to be told with Liv Morgan. This is the second time that she makes to the final two and she gets eliminated. So I wonder if next year there's a story to be told with that.
I think so. I think Liv definitely is a talent that I could believably see her winning the Royal Rumble. Now, and again, because I think she's so good at the way she makes you believe, like, holy, I can't believe I won. I can't believe I won. So to me, that's an important feature that she has and an important trait she has. So yeah, I wouldn't be mad if she won the 2025 Royal Rumble. Why not? Maybe against a heel Jade Cargill.
Ooh, I like that.
Because I mean, Jade doesn't have to do. That's what I like about Jade. Is she can easily be a face, but she can easily just give this beep. I don't know if we can say it or not, but the B word feeling if she wants to. So I would love to see this sort of like Liv's going against this powerhouse and overcomes. Oh, be a great story.
So next we get the Fatal 4-Way WWE title match. And I have to say, I felt like this match was kind of, how can I say this? I feel like this match was kind of a letdown, so to speak. I wanted more from this match and I didn't get it.
I think once they did the stacking thing, I thought, okay, it became very much so. Not that I can speak to this because I'm not a wrestler by any stretch, right? But we always talk about the formula and for like you can tell when okay, we're going to eliminate this person because now it's this sequence of events. I kind of felt like I never really felt Roman was in danger. I never really did. The only impressive spot was again Styles hitting him with the forearm. I mean, the phenomenal forearm. I thought that was neat, but it almost seemed like they were distracting and wasting time until Roman was able to spear AJ Styles and retain the title. It didn't feel like a main event, really. It really didn't. It was a letdown.
I kind of see why this match went second,
Yeah, I was so shocked it was just so bland. I really, really was looking forward to this match. Even if Reigns is going in, they've always done even with this match with Logan Paul, I mean, there was a certain moment you're like, well, maybe. And this match, I never felt like that. I never felt like, well, now he's not going to win. He's not going to lose at all. It felt like they had no other choice to have it. So now he's gone through 3 competitors. So now whoever he faces at WrestleMania makes sense, which is, of course, as we know now, Cody Rhodes. But at the time, I don't know. You might as well stack them all because nobody got a real big shine moment, I don't think, in this match. I really don't.
I really did like the fact that Roman took everyone's finisher, the BFT, the RKO, and the Styles Clash. I like the fact that I like the spot where Randy caught AJ Styles in that RKO. That was really cool. But I honestly dislike Solo Sikoa getting involved. It's been the same old shtick every single time. I'm kind of getting tired of it. So, like I said, this match, I was looking forward to this match too, and it was just kind of a letdown to me.
I mean, if they're booking to the idea of Randy versus Solo at WrestleMania, okay, great. The problem with Solo, I think, and I like Solo. NXT Solo was good. I mean, he talked a little bit, but I hate to say it this way, but I'm going to say it this way. He makes me think of like a diet Taz or a diet Umaga. It's like that's what they're trying to do with him, but I'm not believing it. I'm not believing he's this real tough street fighting thing. Yeah, he's a Samoan, but he's not like huge like Umaga was, or he's not imposingly, if he was jacked, it'd make a big difference, right? But the fact that he just is typical looking dude, again, it's too formulaic at this point with Roman Reigns. Everybody's so tired of it. It's almost like a bingo card. Okay, Paul Heyman's going to panic. Reigns is going to hit his finisher. He's going to shake his head like this. Solo comes in. Jimmy comes in. So I really was surprised Jimmy Uso didn't make an appearance too, because why not?
Yeah, that's true. All right. Lastly, we get the U.S. title match: Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul. Now, this match wasn't bad. It wasn't. Logan Paul. I think he's doing a good job so far. But the one thing, kind of like with the Roman match, I was not a huge fan of Logan's friend, that guy from his entourage, getting involved in this. It went on too long.
Yep.
That spot with it went on way too long. And then to add it to mix Waller and Theory come out, honestly, like, if you eliminate Logan Paul's friend or member of his entourage out,
Right.
and you had Grayson and Waller come out, that would have made so much more sense.
Right.
Because Grayson and Waller, if you had Austin Theory and Grace, it's like 10:51 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, people, I'm tired. I went to Pasadena Comic-Con today. Cut me some slack here.
Right.
Because Grayson Waller and Austin Theory had issues with Kevin Owens. So if they would have came out first, it would have made sense. Like, okay, they're going out to cause a distraction and help Logan Paul. I didn't like the fact that his entourage guy got involved. It went on way too long.
I keep wondering if they keep including his entourage because one of them one day is going to have a match. To me, it's a couple logical things didn't make sense. Again, the friend getting involved, I guess it makes sense, but still, nobody knows unless you watch Logan Paul. It's like, okay, who's this guy? Okay, great. And to me, the fact that Waller and Theory have been giving him so much problems, and now we know that Sami Zayn later on was in the Rumble, this would have been the perfect spot, I think, for Sami Zayn to make his return instead.
Yeah, but then you ruined the Royal Rumble surprise,
But was it really a surprise? That's the thing, is I didn't feel, because he was in such an unenviable position of everybody was excited, but if you go back and look, nobody was like, yeah, it's Sami Zayn. It's like, everybody was looking for The Rock or some big thing. And plus Triple H kept talking about there's supposed to be something shocking supposed to happen and nothing really did. So I get it, but I still feel that because he was there, it would have made sense for Sami Zayn to, again, taking out the Logan Paul spot. Like if it was just Austin Theory and Grayson Waller coming out, then yeah, it would make sense for Sami Zayn to show up.
Yeah.
At least to me. Because they're friends, you know what I mean? It's not like it's kind of like, back in the day of the draft when you would see superstars from Raw and SmackDown interact for the first time in a long time. That's how I kind of felt. Because otherwise, it's like, why is Sami Zayn watching him have problems? You know what I mean?
All right. And then, pretty much Logan Paul won by DQ because the ref caught Kevin Owens with the brass knuckle. So I feel like there's definitely a rematch, probably at the Elimination Chamber.
For sure. I loved it because, honestly, watching that and seeing KO, I thought, oh my gosh, Adam got it right. And then as soon as I said right, then it was like 1, 2, and I was like, oh, he didn't. It's almost going to say, it's like, man, poor Adam. I thought he was probably like, yes, I'm going to get my points, but he still won in the end, but still.
He still won. We'll get into that right now.
They did a good job, I think, of getting me because I really thought after that knockout punch, I thought, okay, it makes sense, but they did a good job. They got me, and it's hard to get me like that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
And then, the fact that Kevin Owens attacked Logan Paul and put him through the table, they're definitely going to have a rematch.
Yeah, and it makes sense because, again, he's, despite everybody else's complaint, Logan Paul is still a viral star, regardless of what everybody says. And you know what? For him to be U.S. champion, it is weird. But I can't ever say the man has not delivered on his match. He takes it as well as he gives it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he ever feels like he's protected in matches. I think he really does get out there and really does. I mean, they talk about Bad Bunny being a good celebrity wrestler. This may be controversial to say, but I don't think we've seen a celebrity, in my opinion, as good a heel since Andy Kaufman.
I wasn't around for that era, but
Me
I
either.
I believe you.
Yeah, because if you watch some of those promos, he's from Hollywood. Now, granted, Andy Kaufman was nowhere near what Logan Paul is, but the fact that he's able to come from Hollywood, come from all this sort of stuff and do it, yeah. I mean, he's sold on. I'm sold on him now. After this match with Kevin Owens, because I thought Kevin Owens should be able to just stun him and be done. But what I loved is they had a history and they referenced it from 3
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah,
That was
it
cool.
did.
So unique ending, but yes, a rematch is definitely needs to happen.
So overall, I feel like the pay-per-view was kind of all over the place. Like, let's start with the Women's Rumble, for instance. The Women's Rumble kicked off really strong.
Yep.
And then in the middle, it kind of dwindled a little bit, and then it picked up again towards the end.
Right.
So I feel like that really hindered that Rumble. With the men's, I feel like it was obvious Jimmy J was gonna start, and there were some, spots in this Rumble, but like, I think I like the women's a little bit better than I did the men's.
Yeah, I mean, because look, we all knew one or two people were going to win the Rumble. We kind of all knew Bayley was going to win, but I hate to say it, but Bayley did not shine as much as I expected in the Rumble. And I only think, again, it's hard though, right? Because I mean, if we compare Flair's 92 Rumble win, I mean, the whole entire match is a story of Flair surviving and, and that. And Bayley's technically is, but they almost kind of gave it away because they're like, this is the only accolade she's never had. And so they almost kind of telegraphed it a little too much, I thought, for my liking.
Yeah.
But I agree. It started out strong. And the men's, besides Gunther coming in and R-Truth, it was more ho-hum than I expected.
Yeah, I like the women's a little bit better.
But what I thought was interesting is that, I was looking at this card, and as I've told you guys before, I play this like, sim wrestling game or whatever. And I thought the final 6, I thought, wow, they've got so many top stars right now that it could be believable to be like, I could believe Drew could win. I believe Gunther could win the Rumble. And I thought, how are they going to fit all these guys on WrestleMania and give them a spot? It's going to be 17 hours now, I think, WrestleMania this year, probably.
Don't put that evil out there for
No,
the East Coasters.
But I mean, it definitely, I don't think it'll go down as a historic Rumble. I really don't. Jade, I think, was probably the most star making, and then I think Jordan Grace. But other than that, even the sequence with Punk and Cody at the end, again, as I said, it felt like a step off. There was no tension to me. It was just like, okay, just go ahead and win Rhodes so we can get this over with. Break my heart again.
Yeah. All right. So with that being said, there is one last thing we have to do. As you guys know, the WrestleManiacs, Adam, who unfortunately could not join us for this review, did predictions. And Adam won, but he won by a landslide because he chose the bonus point was that the number I chose 27, which ironically enough Punk was 27. You chose what, number 1?
Number
I believe.
1.
Yeah, yep. Number 1. And Adam chose 15, and it just so happened that he also picked Cody Rhodes to win, and Cody Rhodes was number 15 and ended up winning.
Insane. I mean, again, as they say, it's all about the numbers, and he nailed it.
That's why I went with 27, though, because,
right.
27, according to the statistics, produce the most winners.
Yeah, I was wrong on all fronts in the men's Rumble, and I put all my points in that basket thinking I was going to win. So
how do you want to do this? How do you want to do this? You want to do this together, or do you want to do this solo shot individually? What do you want to do?
We can do it on 1, 2, 3, right? We could say it together.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
All right. You go ahead and count it. Yep.
Do we go on 3 or 1, 2, go, or 1, 2, 3, go?
1, 2, 3, then go.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. We acknowledge you, Adam.
One
We
finger up for
acknowledge you. We acknowledge you as predictions champion
Yep.
until Elimination Chamber.
Right. What a
All right.
comeback. What a comeback for Adam after a couple pay-per-views not winning.
I know.
Like
I
Cody
know.
Rhodes, he just shocked the world again.
He's gonna finish his story.
Yep, exactly.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever this video drops. So whenever Aplus Your Report goes live. Josh, where can people find you?
Just on X at Gamer Peroski right now. So still working on integrating X into my life, but definitely getting there.
As for myself, you can follow me on Twitter or at X at Datila_. I talk about wrestling, occasionally Power Rangers. So make sure you check out my YouTube channel, Rangers of Wrestling, where I cover professional wrestling and Power Rangers. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.